opera called The Five Browns extraordinary, and one of the most successful classical music acts on the planet. They're about to release their 6th album, The Rite of Spring. They've already hit #1 on the classical charts 3 times, but behind the scenes they've had some pretty private pain. In the chair tonight, the Five Browns: Ryan, Deandra, Desiree, Melody and Gregory. And beautifully, you're in that order, so I can try and remember. So I will do my very best here. So, okay, who's the boss of the 5 of you?
No, nobody's the boss. We're very democratic. I don't think we'd allow anyone to be the boss.
Okay, is that right?
Yes, we actually, when we have musical disagreements, we usually will take a vote. And luckily there's an odd number of us because usually majority wins.
Now, you're all brilliantly talented, right? Now, when I used to judge America's Got Talent, I said to you in the break there, we used to have a lot of acts from Utah, and they were always very talented and always used to smile a lot like you guys, and used to just to put me off because I couldn't be too critical because I liked them too much. But in terms of who's the most talented, I always love this question amongst siblings. I can see you already looking at me grimacing, right? Come on, I want to hear from you, Gregory. Who is the most talented? If you all went head to head on America's Got Talent, who would win?
Yeah, okay, so it's funny because people come up to us after concerts, and every night it's always different. People say, I liked you the best, I liked you the best. You know, we've had the same training basically our whole lives, so it's really hard to tell. We play differently, but...
Deandra, you're shaking your head. You don't agree with him at all, do you? Are the girls better than the boys?
No, I don't.
I'm just kidding.
Are the girls better than the boys?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, some nights I feel like maybe they're better than me, but that's the nice thing about it is they inspire me to try to be better and to...
See, all my brothers inspire me to do is beat them at anything. I don't care if it's Monopoly or whatever it is.
Don't get us started on board games.
Yeah, board games are totally
Sports,
different
too.
Yeah, who's the most competitive?
Ooh, Gregory's pretty competitive. Yeah.
In board games.
In board games.
You know, in sports and stuff, but outside of that, you know.
Now, look, I mean, you're hugely popular, you're incredibly successful, and everything was going great. And then you got hit by this awful tragedy, which must have blighted your lives, certainly for quite a while. So, Desiree, talk me through what happened with your father, because it turned out that he had been abusing all 3 of the girls here, his daughters. An awful thing, about the worst thing that you could possibly imagine. The moment that you all realised what had been going on, how did you deal with it as siblings?
Well, you know, the moment I realized that my sisters had been abused and it wasn't just me, it was probably the worst moment of my life. I remember feeling sick to my stomach, and I just... So, but at the same time, there was like a camaraderie, almost like we understood each other, like a kinship there, that we could get through this together.
Melody, incredibly painful to be abused full stop, to have it being done by your father, somebody who'd been managing you as a group, the worst imaginable thing, I would imagine, for you. How have you coped with the fact he's now in prison and that horrible chapter in your lives is closed for now, but how do you feel about it?
You know, time is so important. And, you know, I've had a couple of years now to sort of deal with it all and process it. We've been through counseling as a family, and I just feel like finally I'm able to heal with that time. And, you know, my sisters have chosen to start a foundation, and that's empowering for them. But for me, I've chosen to kind of just live my own life and heal in my own time and be with my husband out in nature. And those are the things that heal me.
Deandra, what are your feelings towards your father?
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, they're your parents, so you're still going to love them to a certain extent, but it's difficult over the years because based off of decisions that he made, it directly influences the rest of your life, and there are forever consequences to the decisions that he made. So I choose to try to focus on my life, my husband, my daughter, and the happy things, playing music together as brothers and sisters, touring the world. Those are the things that make me
Do
happy.
any of you have any contact with him at all?
No.
None of you. What about your mother? I mean, let me bring one of the boys in. I mean, Ryan, I haven't talked to you yet. How do you feel about your mother? How does she feel about what happened to your father?
I have minimal contact with my mom just to check up on her.
And is that the same for all of you?
It's just sort of disappointing that she hasn't really felt... she hasn't been terribly supportive of us, and that's disappointing to us.
I mean, heartbreaking, right? I mean, you guys were totally oblivious to what was going on. But in its own way, it's been equally harrowing for you. This is your father who was abusing, you know, your sisters. He was your manager of the group. Your mother, you now have a pretty poor relationship with her too. It could have wrecked many families. It's amazing that you guys have each other and have managed to come through this. But do you feel you can ever reconcile with your mother or your father properly?
It's hard to say. I mean, I think when it comes to like forgiveness and relationships, it's a personal thing for each of us, and definitely time plays a factor in that. But I mean, like Ryan said, I am in some contact with my mother. I'm pretty disappointed in a lot of the decisions she's made recently. But yeah, I guess time will tell. Only time can tell whether if they are willing to come to us and really make an effort. Who knows? But it's hard.
Have they ever apologized to you?
I think you feel when somebody is truly penitent. There would be times where if you apologize once, but then your actions speak a totally different language, then it's not a genuine apology. I think genuine penitence and restitution, we would be able to really feel, and we're open to that. It just hasn't been shown yet.
Let's take a break. Let's come back and talk about happier things, which I'm sure you'd love to do. Your brilliant new album, which you've all signed for me, which makes it easy to remember who you all are. And let's talk about that and music and why you love it so much. How about that?
Sounds good.
You like that? The Five Browns doing what they do best, and they're back with me now. Let's talk about music. You've got this great concert coming up at Carnegie Hall, which is the ultimate for any pianist around the world, really. And there you are, the five of you. You've never played there before. How exciting is this? Come on, let's talk about Carnegie Hall, Yondra.
It's amazing after everything that we've been through, especially over the last couple of years, to be able to live our dream and perform in Carnegie Hall. We have a new album that's coming out that was a dream project that we've wanted to do our whole performing lives. And so it's kind of exciting to see all these things that we've hoped to come true.
Yeah, Ryan, I mean, how much has it been a healing thing for you as a group of five siblings, would you say?
Music is a healing for all of us, I think, individually and as a group. And just after every single concert, I feel like I grow closer to my siblings, and we're all really good friends, too. We get along, we have a great time on the road, and it's just a blast playing
And what
music on
happens if
stage.
in the middle of Carnegie Hall someone does a really bum note? Like really, really terrible.
Yeah, exactly. I was just
Melody, what happens? I mean, is there like a terrible inquest afterwards?
We get what we call the crusties from Deandra. And she's like, what are you doing? But then one night, actually, I got a smile from her. I must have done something really
Wow.
and she gave me a smile.
Barely given me one all night, so that must be a rare thing. But Desiree, the power of faith. You're all very God-fearing and religious, as I'd expect, coming from Utah, and you're Mormons, obviously. How important has that been to you? I interviewed Rick Warren last week and was incredibly moved by the power of his prayer and his faith to what had happened in his life. Has that been equally helpful to you guys?
Oh, it's been hugely important. Our faith has been so important to us. I feel like our faith and spirituality bonds us almost even more than the music. And especially through the trials that we've been through, to know that there's always somewhere to find peace and hope, which is so important when you go through these really difficult times. To be able to feel that has been very uplifting
And
for
tell
us.
me quickly about the foundation that you two have set this up, right?
The Foundation for Survivors of Abuse was set up by Desiree and I, and it's important to us that people have the timeline to be able to heal when they're ready. And with the laws and statutes of limitations how they are, sometimes that is not the case. And so for us, we're trying to raise awareness about the issue of sexual abuse, and hopefully our plan is to make it to Washington and to start lobbying on behalf of victims everywhere who come up against the statute of limitations.
Good. Well, good for you. The Five Browns will be performing at Carnegie Hall October the 18th. You can download their new album. Here it is, The Rite of Spring, starting October the 1st. It's a cracking album. You are very talented, I have to say. And the CD is available on October 29th. For more information on the foundation, check out survivingabuse.org. Thank you so much, all of you, for coming in. And best of luck at Carnegie Hall.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with Bono's possibly greatest ever live performance.